Fox in the Morning, September 24th, 1996. Don Teague, promoting Cincinnati Public Library show.
You're watching Fox.
As a rule, journalists are supposed to avoid using cliches whenever possible, but sometimes there's just no better way to get your point across. With that in mind, I'd like you to keep a couple of old cliches in mind for the next few minutes. One man's trash is another man's treasure, and beauty is in the eye of the beholder. In the light of day, Tom Newbold is a mild-mannered professor at the University of Cincinnati. But in the darkest corner of his basement, surrounded by the glow of fluorescent lights and envelopes full of broken body parts, Newbold, known down here as Dr. X, is creating art with someone's skull, maybe your Aunt Emma's.
They always wonder because the person's name isn't on there, but that's one of the great things is it could be somebody famous, it could be a man or a woman. A lot of times you can't tell.
If you haven't figured it out by now, the tools of Dr. X's trade are X-rays. He gets them from local hospitals who would ordinarily just toss them out. Medical doctors might see hairline fractures and tumors in these images, but Dr. X?
I think you can see the Ayatollah Khomeini maybe in that, but maybe you don't. Maybe you see something different in this one, so it's kind of like a Rorschach test. I try usually to create some sort of feeling or something like that. If you look at a person's skull, sometimes people can really identify with that. A broken leg means something else to some people, feet, hands, or I use also animal parts.
Fact is, Dr. X will make art out of just about anything X-rayable, like seashells. Right now, he's trying to get his hands on those X-rays of airport luggage. Still, he'll always have a soft spot for bones, because we all have those.
I think that all of us are similar, that you and I and everybody else, if we looked a couple millimeters below our skin, would all look the same. And that if you looked at an X-ray of somebody, you wouldn't be able to tell whether they were good or bad or rich or poor or black or white or Democrat or Republican or whatever.
Finally, Dr. X isn't really concerned about how you interpret his art or even if you like it. But if it makes you stop and think, Professor Tom Newbold is doing his job. I want to mention our photographer, Bill Fesh, who shot those great pictures of pictures. Did a really
nice
good job.
Yeah, did a real nice job.
Stuff. And by the way, if you want to see some of this X-ray art, the good news is it's on display right now. This is his first ever display of his art. It's at the Cincinnati Public Library for free on the second floor through this Friday.
So I've got a question. Is he selling any of this art? I mean, it is kind of unusual. People might think it's even a little bit morbid.
Yeah, and you know, he says some people think that it's one of those things where you either hate this stuff or you'll like it. He hasn't sold any of it yet, but he hasn't really put any of it on the market, and he's had some offers. So I think when he's ready to, there'll be people buying some X-ray art.
You going to buy any there? You've got one in your hand.
I don't think it's going to match the decorating motif in my home.
Ah, well, you know, that's important to consider.
Yes, it is.